and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God.
May 29, 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari takes office as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria with a full understanding that the task before him and his party, the All Progressives Congress, is enormous. Months earlier, the president and his party, the APC, had gone around the country to campaign and sell the message of change to Nigerians. The message of change was articulated in 3 cardinal points as the president promised to revive the economy, restore security, and fight corruption to a standstill. Shortly after taking office, the president realized that apart from looking inwards for addressing the nation's enormous challenges, the change agenda could not be delivered without the cooperation and collaboration of the international community.
When he came on board, the first challenge was really to launder, to clean the image of the country, you know, and part of that process was using his own personal brand image, you know. He's known for integrity, simplicity, you know, and humility, and you know, and peaceful nature. He had lost 3 elections, you know, on the trot, and you know, clearly, so also the belief in the democratic process. So a lot of, he personified a lot of very positive qualities, you know, that resonated well with the international community.
Understanding fully that Nigerians rejected an incumbent government and gave him their mandates based on his personal integrity, the president was in a hurry to fulfill his campaign promises by hitting the ground running. To confront the monster called Boko Haram, which had threatened Nigeria's national security, President Muhammadu Buhari began his foreign engagements with a visit to Nigeria's neighbors. His first stop, Niger Republic. He followed up with the Republic of Chad, where he met with President Idris Deby to discuss collaboration to defeat the common enemy, Boko Haram. Then, the president visited Cameroon and Benin Republic, where he met both Presidents Paul Biya and Boni Yayi respectively to get their buy-in on tackling insurgency in the sub-region, particularly Boko Haram.
So nice to see you. Congratulations. Thank you. Becky, very pleased to see you. Looking forward to hosting you.
These initial steps opened more windows for the president to push the security agenda higher as he was invited to the 42nd G7 meeting in Munich, Germany, where he met leaders of some of the most powerful nations and specifically asked them to help Nigeria combat terrorism and help revive the Nigerian economy. President Buhari was to undertake further engagements with the international community and fight terrorism when he visited the United States to meet President Barack Obama. The issue of security was also a major part of his speeches at the United Nations in New York during the UN General Assembly from 2015 to 2017.
Boko Haram's war against the people of Nigeria, Chad, Niger and Cameroon may not attract as much worldwide attention as those in the Middle East, but the suffering is just as great and the human cost is equally high. This is a war about values, between progress and chaos, between democracy and the rule of law. Boko Haram celebrates violence against the weak and the innocent, and deplorably they hide behind their perverted interpretation of Islam. Boko Haram is as far away from Islam as anyone can think of.
With the determination of the Buhari administration to restore security to Nigeria and the support received from the international community, Boko Haram has since been dislodged and reduced to a hit-and-run group which attack soft targets. The international community was therefore delighted to receive the news of rescue of many of the abducted Chibok girls, and recently the proactive steps taken to rescue the Dapchi school girls, while negotiation for the release of the other Chibok girls continues.
When you look at it within the larger context, I think a lot of progress has been made. Now our armed forces have been receiving a lot of platforms. Jordan, for example, has given us about 200 armored personnel carriers, fighting vehicles to the Nigerian army. They send in their service chiefs to look at what the Nigerian Air Force is doing. If you look at the news, almost every day new platforms are being introduced into the inventory of the armed forces. So now we can say that Nigeria has an armed forces that can exact timely response to any challenge. And I think this is a credit to Mr. President.
While pursuing the restoration of security, President Buhari did not lose sight of the economy, which was in bad shape when he took over. He realizes the need to engage the world and woo investors to the country while promoting the diversification of the economy. The president visited France with the main agenda of increasing bilateral trade between France and Nigeria. He met the then President François Hollande to discuss both oil and non-oil trade issues. At the third India-Africa Forum Summit hosted by Indian President Narendra Modi, the Nigerian leader joined representatives from 54 African countries to tell the world that Nigeria, under his watch, welcomes the world for business under transparent conditions.
As a government elected on the platform of change, integrity and accountability, I wish to assure you that we shall do our uttermost to deliver on the expectations of Nigerians, to create an enabling environment for business to thrive and to make our country a safer haven for foreign direct investments and for business generally.
More business trips were to follow as President Muhammadu Buhari undertook a 2-day visit to attend the third Gas Exporting Countries Forum in Iran, where he met with the international business community.
He's meeting them so that some of the jaundiced reports that are coming out of Nigeria, he will be able to enlighten them. And a lot of things go out that are not true. It is a testament of the confidence and trust the international community has in him. Otherwise, they wouldn't be inviting him. And some of the agreements that were signed between Nigeria and the various countries he visited were because they expected that we are dealing with somebody we can trust.
Perhaps one of the high points of his economic diplomacy shuttles was when he led a Nigerian delegation of businessmen and government officials to visit China. Various Nigerian and Chinese firms through the Nigeria-China Business Forum created bilateral agreements and entered various deals and agreements totaling over $6 billion.
Nigeria accounted for 8.3% of the total trade volume between China and Africa, and 42% of the total trade volume between China and the Community of West African States ECOWAS countries in 2015. This is a clear reflection of Nigeria's position as the largest economy and most populous country in Africa. Of course, I must congratulate many of you in this room for making this happen.
They're so willing to really engage with us. And he kept on making the point that they're not looking for political gain, They're not looking to dominate any country economically, but it is just that's a sense of solidarity with all countries, and they have tremendous respect for our country and also for our president. They made the point that our president is somebody for whom they have the highest regard, and congratulated him on the way he's coming to office and the program that he set out for the people. They took the initiative and identified very accurately all the needs really of Nigeria, from science and technology to infrastructure to education, to research and development.
As you know, we have a significant, some will even say massive infrastructure deficit, which means that our infrastructure needs a lot of improvement, whether it's railways, roads, power, airports, and the list goes on, ports. So basically what it is that you need to partner with people to provide the know-how, to provide the capital, and to provide the resources. And we believe that Nigeria actually, because of the benefits that will come from the infrastructure, because infrastructure is what aids industrial development. And that industrial development, we believe, frankly, will pay for itself over time, which is why we look at them as capital investments. And as you know, under our president, there is a renewed emphasis and focus on infrastructure development.
It is a very wide range of an agreement to build more industrial capacity in Nigeria, ranging from cement, refinery, and petrochemicals, and any other project that we are doing to increase industrial capacity in Nigeria. And this is backed up by ICBC, which is the biggest bank in the world, and also Sinosure, which is the export insurance guarantee. Actually, to be precise, there is actually no limit, because what we have now is say, okay, bring project by project, and we will support you. There is quite a lot of, help in terms of, one is for them to show that there is still confidence in Nigeria, which is key and important, and even as it's not only this project that we're doing, it is to show that, look, Nigeria is not dead.
How are you? I'm fine.
Well,
thank
congratulations for winning the election.
Yeah, no, we need a government.
Determined to bring the Nigerian economy out of recession, President Muhammadu Buhari continued to engage the world. He was back to Germany for a state visit where he attended the Nigerian-German Business Forum and sought an increase in economic ties between Germany and Nigeria. The president also undertook a state visit to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia where he met with the Saudi monarch. He canvassed for Saudi investment into Nigeria and discussed trade agreements in areas of oil and shipping. He was also in Qatar for the OPEC meeting where he also met the Emir of Qatar to discuss cooperation between OPEC and non-OPEC members to sustain the economies of oil-producing countries including Nigeria. These visits immediately yielded results with the commitment of the Islamic Development Bank (IDB), which offered to support Nigeria in mobilizing resources from Arab countries through assistance in organizing an Arab donor financing roundtable. After the president presented Nigeria's investment request, there were commitments to assist in mobilizing domestic and external resources to finance Nigeria's investment program, including the issuance of a sukuk bond.
Well, the whole idea of the agreement that we've just signed is for companies of Nigerian companies doing business in Qatar and vice versa to avoid double taxation, which means that you don't get taxed in both countries. So that's the impact of the agreement. But it also makes sure you don't avoid tax in both countries. So it's a bilateral agreement that we've just signed. But what it will do, or what we expect it to do, is to make the Qataris, who are investing quite heavily already in Nigeria, to bring in more investment, because the lack of the double avoidance treaty was a stumbling block for some of the investments they want to do. So we're very confident that this will bring much more investment, much more business between Qatar and Nigeria.
As far as the foreign policy is concerned, this is what Mr. President has gone round the world, telling other cordial partners of Nigeria that Nigeria is back on track. For instance, his visit to China, America, has shown that indeed Nigeria is back on the map. You can see that we have the railway lines are back now, and things are become more focused. Like we now have things that we never envisaged will happen, have happened and are happening. So I would say that his foreign policy has helped a lot in moving this nation forward.
We must connect President Muhammadu Buhari's visits since 2015 to date to the three cardinal principles of his government: security, anti-corruption, and the economy. All the travels he undertook have all been connected to pursuing this agenda. So, as far as I'm concerned, the travels of President Muhammadu Buhari had been a complete success.
By 2015, when President Muhammadu Buhari came into power, the pervasive nature of corruption had eaten deep into the fabric of the Nigerian system and was perpetrated by some public officials with impunity and recklessness.
You must look at the process. There's something faulty about the process that enables people to take out so much. There's something wrong with the way the system is administered, that people can blatantly do what, take away money from the system.
Therefore, the president could not hide his disdain for this shameless development that gave Nigeria a negative image in the Committee of Nations. As he rolled out the blueprint of his anti-corruption fight, he knew that the task will not be effective without engaging the international community, especially in recovering looted Nigerian monies stashed abroad and preventing the reoccurrence of the crime. During most of his interactions with world leaders, he stressed the determination of his administration to kill corruption and also called for the return of Nigeria's stolen assets abroad. He also attended the first ever anti-corruption summit in the United Kingdom, which attracted various heads of state from around Africa. The president also took his anti-corruption engagement to other countries such as the United Arab Emirates, where various agreements were signed to strengthen the fight against corruption. His address to the European Union Parliament in Strasbourg, France, was also apt, addressing key issues his administration is pursuing. The Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, CHOGM, also provided another platform for President Buhari to call for greater international response to the fight against corruption.
I can tell you, having spent most of my life in the diplomatic service, that we made a terrible name because of corruption. But now, people are being made to account for what they did or what they stole.
Little wonder the African Union at its 30th Ordinary General Assembly decided to focus on the fight against corruption on the continent and settled for President Muhammadu Buhari as the champion for the theme.
Excellencies, corruption is indeed one of the greatest evils of our time. Corruption rewards those who do not play by the rules and also creates a system of distortion and diversion, thereby destroying all efforts of constructive, just, and fair governance. I cannot overemphasize the value of strong institutions, a judiciary which stands firm against arbitrariness and injustice by the executive is a vital pillar in the anti-corruption fight.
The statement made by President Buhari was exactly what this organization needed to hear. I'm very happy about it. And I'm hoping that the rest of us will support the recommendations and the processes that he has initiated.
He's a good person to fight against corruption. I'm sure that what he's trying to do now is to leave a very good image to Africa and to the generation, future generation. That's why I'm sure that he's the person who can really take that responsibility and fight against corruption and show to the rest of Africa the way and the path how to fight against that. And I think that the young generation must take this example and help him.
As South Sudan, we are very proud of the effort of President Buhari. And as Africa, the effort is started, I think all of us need to embrace. And as the youngest country in Africa, South Sudan would like to learn from the experience and the roadmap laid by His Excellency President Buhari to fight the corruption in Africa.
The President of the United States, Donald Trump, gave his verdict on the anti-corruption fight when President Muhammadu Buhari undertook an official visit to the United States recently.
In terms of corruption, Nigeria has a reputation, as you understand very well, for very massive corruption. I also know that the President has been able to cut that down very substantially. We talked about it. He is working on it, and they have made a lot of progress, and I think they will continue to make a lot of progress. We have a lot of people in this country, and frankly the country itself, that invests in Nigeria, so cutting down on that corruption element and a corrupt element is very important to us.
3 years into his 4-year mandate, President Muhammadu Buhari has not only engaged the world effectively, but has turned around the negative perception of Nigeria as a corrupt, insecure and economically unstable country by the international community.
As usual, on his modest international events, the President represents us very well. Clearly stated the issues as we see them, from trade to security matters to progress in the educational sector. I think one of the most important statements or suggestions from the President is on a leg-to-leg rewatering of Lake Chad using the Congo Basin as a point of departure, a technology and technique which European countries can really help Nigeria engage in. The President made it very clear that over 40 million people could be helped.
Even as a Nigerian, you're proud to be a Nigerian. Unlike in the past where there are always issues of, who you are, what you do. So the dignity, the integrity that he's bringing to the job has influenced positively the perception of Nigeria and Nigerians. So under his administration, we have a law that has been signed. Under his administration, we're coming up with a diaspora policy. So with these two, we're on the right track to dealing with diaspora matters. Under his administration, we brought back thousands of Nigerians stranded in Libya. He gave that instruction, he gave that directive, and we went and made sure we succeeded. And today, you can see that even the issue of human trafficking will be reducing under his administration.
Nigerians were therefore not surprised when the President of the United States, Donald Trump, decided to approve the sale of the Super Tucano military aircrafts to Nigeria after many years of denial.
You can see the level of respect for Nigeria. Nigeria no longer seen as what you might call a basket case, a problem country, but taken seriously. So if you look at Europe, for instance, all the major countries were very keen for Mr. President to visit, and they made real efforts. And the reception that he got in those countries and the keenness with which all of them were to sign agreements, trade agreements with Nigeria, to support Nigeria in all the various challenges, economic, social, with the humanitarian crisis. You go to the US or the Americas, we saw exactly, the same thing, and greater trust of the country and the help that they were now offering in repatriating the stolen funds that were stashed away in those countries. We saw that they were very keen, because they now believe that we would not re-loot the looted funds when they came back, when we got them back, so really engaging with us in that, and also with Asian countries, very, very keen to get us doing business with them, because they now believed and had seen a government that was much more purposeful. And on the multilateral level, and in Africa too, all the African heads of state were making beelines to Mr. President and wanting Nigeria to be involved in all the big issues on the continent.
In just 3 years, the world has come to accord Nigeria its dignity and respect on the international arena, and Nigerians today walk with their shoulders very high, because the world is no longer in doubt about the fact that Nigeria is on the path to growth, development and prosperity for its people and the world.